You know about the shooting games on here. They play really good. Action! Especially Time Crisis. Point Blank plays really good. The accuracy is awesome with these guns. There's been some complaints, and look at, with the light shining, we're still able to hit targets, and I was super close. House of the Dead. This is loaded with a ton of great shooters. Finally being able to play these games at home.
There was nothing we could do.
You can't kill me, Copper! No! You missed me, Biggie! Help me! Reload! Don't shoot!
I mean, there's so many games on here. Literally, what are you waiting for? Come on. You got to get this if you got Terminator 2. But we're just getting started. There's a whole nother side to the one-player Selector deck from Buy Stuff Arcades. The guns play awesome. We just saw a ton of gameplay on some of the best shooting games on this cabinet. That was a one-player Terminator 2, now 83 light gun games and 515 games total. So the reason I went with the one-player Selector deck is the simple fact I can keep the guns in the holsters. I'm used to this look when I did have my original Terminator 2 guns basically sitting in the same spot. The only difference was the blue gun was on the left and the red gun was on the right. So other than that, this is what I'm used to with the guns. There is a 2-player deck, and you can mount the guns on the side. Now the reason I didn't go with that is there's no space in here, and it just depends what arcade room you have if you can mount something on the side or on the top. But it does come with that joystick and buttons, and we have access to over 430 games. And the buttons aren't mushy. They're a little bit of a step up than what I'm basically familiar with on an arcade 1-up control panel. There's a little more pop to these, and the joystick, it's not bad. It's kind of got some life to it here. Actually, it's pretty standard from what I'm used to, but it does the job. Now the 1-player, I gotta tell you, only 2 buttons you're gonna use when you're playing, so you can play all the games. You're just not gonna be able to do certain moves. If you're playing a fighting game, you need that 6-button layout, and that's where the 2-player selector deck comes in. It's just the fact of your guns aren't gonna go here. So it's a catch-22. If you want the guns here, you're gonna have to go for the 1-player. If you want the 2-player with the 6 buttons to take full advantage of those 430 other games, you're gonna have to mount the guns on the side of the cabinet. The simple control layout is basically you're gonna hold this button down for about 3 to 5 seconds. It's gonna prop up a menu where you can exit a game, and this is your A game. So whenever you're selecting something, looking at the screen right now, if we want to go in to any game here, I'm pressing this A button right here, and that's going to bring us into that certain game. If we want to exit this game, all we got to do is hold this button down for about 3 to 5 seconds. This screen comes up, and we're just going to take our joystick and go down to exit game and hit that A button again. The one that brought us in and the one that's going to take us out. And it gets us back right to that main menu. Now hitting player 1 button will also bring up this menu on the far right, and it's going to be a little easier to search through 515 games. There's the alphabetical, there's the 3D, the light gun. This is something that I've been playing a lot of. But we'll find some nice arcades, so we're just going to go right to the MAME folder, hit our A button, and page 2 through 114 are all MAME games. So we're going to find some of the arcade games that I'm looking for. Roof, feet. Oh, I'm going to play Hook on this cabinet. At first it didn't interest me on playing other games on my Terminator 2 cabinet. I said, you know, I can play games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on my Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet, but you know, not everybody has that. Being tight for space, having a multi-cade on your Terminator 2 along with some of the best light gun games ever, it's a huge win. The only downside about the 1-player selector deck is playing a game like Street Fighter 2, we don't have 6 buttons, so we're not going to be able to do a lot of moves. We have 2 buttons here. So we'll just see what 2 buttons gets us. A lot of punching. When you have 515 games, you're going to see a lot of variety, and in that variety are a ton of fighters. And just keep that in mind that some of those you're not going to really be able to play, but I can assure you that just having the 2 buttons on here, there's plenty of value. So if you have Terminator 2 and you haven't picked up Retro Shooter or the Buy Stuff Arcade Selector deck, what are you waiting for? You can play all these games on your T2. It's unbelievable. Cabinets that you've been waiting for, like Golden Axe, Revenge of Death Adder, to go on sale, you can play all those games on your Terminator 2. I go back and forth of wanting the arcade feel, having as many arcades as I can, versus multi-cades. But the advantage of a multi-cade is having all of these games. I mean, there's 515 games on here. It is hard to find a game sometimes, I mean, I'll admit. But eventually you'll come across it, and actually, during this video, I found games that I didn't even think were on here. There's so much value with this, and for a guy who didn't really want the other games on here, who was just looking for the shooters, I'm eating my words. It is awesome playing these games on here, and since I put this mod in, I've been playing this a lot more lately. You gotta check out this kit. Check out Buy Stuff Arcades. This is unbelievable for your Terminator 2 arcade 1-up. Something I didn't touch, but I did touch on the tutorial review on the Buy Stuff Arcades mod for your Terminator 2. There's no clear deck protector on here. This isn't gonna rub off like first gen artwork. Just wanna throw that out there that you're gonna step up here with this panel, and if you go for the 2-player, you saw some of the games on here, the fighting games, even X-Men. If you notice when I played Colossus, I couldn't use his mutant power. I need a third button for that. Only 2 buttons, so when you're playing fighter games, it's punch only. There is an incentive of having that 2-player, but you lose the holsters for the guns. And just to go back to what I said earlier, I wanted them here. It's just a better look. I'm still able to play a lot of games on here, so it's just something to keep in mind if you're gonna get the 1-player versus the 2-player deck. And in case you missed the review, you can add that recoil sound to your gun. And with a simple flip of the switch, you can go back to no recoil at all. If you're in the other room, it does get a little loud. And something I want to note, that all the games we went over in this video, these are actual arcade ROMs. Some of them have been modified on some of the arcades you have purchased. And yes, you're still going to get that classic Terminator 2 that you once played on this cabinet the first time you got it. So you're not losing anything except for online play, which you didn't play online with T2 to begin with. You just had online leaderboards. It's an excellent mod. It's really something to think about, having all of this on one cabinet. I want to thank everybody for watching. I'll see you guys next time.